Hey everyone, I'm Goofyword, back with another episode of Totally Obscure, where we look at the coolest things you can do with the cards you didn't know you should be playing in Commander. Today we are looking at the red creature, the knife-wielding Starke of Rath. Will he work for us or against us? Let's find out. Starke of Rath is a 3-mana card from Tempest. It's 1 red for a 2/2 legendary human rogue that says, tap to destroy target artifact or creature, and that permanent's controller gains control of Starke of Rath indefinitely. Because after you use Starke of Rath's effect, your opponent is going to gain control of him, you have to be aware that often you are going to draw their attention and they're going to want to kill your stuff right after you kill theirs. One way to prevent this is to just make a good deal with them. Tell them, yes, I have to kill this threat now, but I will give you a favor in the future, or you can kill my threat and just understand that that's part of the trade. Using Starke this way is kind of the intended, normal way that you would use him. Because it's a multiplayer game, you have some options, and you can use him as kind of a trump card against a single threat. This card is fairly similar to something like Humble Defector, which is going to draw you cards, but it's also going to draw your opponent's cards. If you use Starke in this manner, he's going to be passed around the table throughout the game the same way a Humble Defector would, and you basically just accept that sometimes it'll be good for you, sometimes it'll be bad for you, but either way, he's making a more interesting board state, and that's worthwhile. The second way to use Starke of Rath is to only target your own permanents. Since control of Starke changes to the player whose permanent you blow up, if you blow up your own things, he'll stay under your control. Now, if you're doing this for just creatures, it's kind of a waste. You could use any number of other sacrifice outlets like Carrion Feeder or, countless others. The thing that's different about Starke is he can also target artifacts. We can look for artifacts that offer a benefit when we send them to the graveyard. A couple of good examples of this are Spine of Ishtar, which is going to allow us to destroy any permanent, and then we can use Starke of Rath to bring it back to our hand instead of going to the graveyard. We can also use Starke to blow up our Ugin's Nexus to give us an extra turn. These are just two examples of how destroying our own permanents can be advantageous. Starke of Rath fits very nicely into a Mathis Fiend Seeker deck, because you can use Mathis to paint a target on a certain creature by putting a bounty counter on it. When that creature is destroyed, each player who doesn't control it gets a benefit. They gain some life and draw a card. By putting the bounty tokens on your opponent's creatures and then using Starke of Rath to destroy that creature, you're going to make everyone at the table happy, except for that creature's controller. A way to alleviate that is to then put the next bounty counter on someone else's creature so that the new controller of Starke is incentivized to use his ability to destroy the new creature with the bounty counter on it. In this way, you can control the flow of where Starke goes, and all the while you're gaining life and drawing cards. So you're kind of telling your opponents this is a creature worth destroying while kind of staying out of it on your own. Maybe you want to use Starke a little bit more selfishly. And in this case, we have 2 cards that can help with that. After you activate Starke of Rath's ability, he's going to go under control of your opponent. But if we use the ability of the land Homeward Path, or we have a Trostani Discordant on the battlefield, he'll go under your opponent's control just until the end step, and then he'll realize he should come home. And in this way, you can continue to use Starke of Rath as limited spot removal turn after turn without having to worry about him being under your opponent's control. One of my favorite things about Starke of Rath is that this intrinsically political card can also be rather selfish and self-serving. If you want to use it as kind of a table aid and allow it to pick off the most problematic creatures and artifacts around the table, you can do that, and you have to kind of trust the playgroup to use it that way. But if you're feeling a little bit less sharing, you can also use the Homeward Path and Trostani strategies to keep him under your control and just continue to mow down your opponent's creatures. Either way, he has quite a bit of play to him and is going to change the texture of your Commander games greatly. I hope you enjoyed getting to know this human rogue a little bit better. If you want to see more videos like this one, comment the name of the totally obscure card that you would want to see me cover next. Until then, I'm Goofyword. Have a great day.